Here it goes. War, says Heraclitus, is the father of all things. Why is Srimanta talking of war? Because of Kurukshetra. So Kurukshetra is also the principle. Okay? Violence, destruction. I told you 3 chapters on war, and because you must also remember one thing, people don't understand this. Okay, there is a Wendy Doniger. Okay, she is an American, and she has got, you won't believe, she has got a PhD in Indology. This is their understanding of India. PhD in Indology, and she is so ignorant. She thinks that the Bhagavad Gita is actually encouraging people to go to war. This is what she says. She says that and she says many other negative things about India because they have absolutely no idea of what they're talking about. And yet she is a PhD. And same thing you can see also. Yeah.
Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Wendy Doniger. Okay. She is an American Indologist, and she studied some of the dharma in India and the philosophy. Her name is Wendy Doniger. You can see she's a very controversial figure in India. Okay, so she doesn't understand at all. Like many others also, they say absolutely nonsensical things about Hinduism. So, war, Srimanta is justifying war in 3 chapters. Okay, he says that so long as you don't change your consciousness to a spiritual consciousness, war will not disappear. War is the main principle in the physical world is dualities, and duality means clash. So that only when you rise in consciousness, the clashes disappear because harmony comes more and more into the picture. So keep that in mind. War, said Heraclitus, is the father of all things. What does that mean? It means that it is the agent that makes you progress upwards. Okay. War is the king of all. And the saying, like most of the apothegms of the Greek thinker, suggests a profound truth. There you are, okay? A profound truth. From a clash of material or other forces, everything in this world, if not the world itself, seems to be born. By a struggle of forces, tendencies, principles, beings, it seems to proceed, ever creating new things, ever destroying the old, marching one knows not very well whither, to a final self-destruction, some say, okay, and in an unending series of vain cycles, say others, in progressive cycles is the most optimistic conclusion, leading through whatever trouble and apparent confusion towards a higher and higher approximation to some divine apocalypse. Apocalypse, a manifestation of the divine. However that may be, this is certain that there is not only no construction here without destruction, no harmony except by poise of contending forces, one out of many actual and potential discords, but also no continued existence of life except by constant self-feeding and devouring of other life. Our very bodily life is a constant dying and being reborn. The body itself, a beleaguered city, attacked by assailing, protected by defending forces, whose business is to devour each other. And this is only a type of all our existence. The command seems to have gone out from the beginning. Thou shalt not conquer except by battle with thy fellows and thy surroundings. Thou shalt not even live except by battle and struggle and by absorbing into thyself other life. This first law of this world that I have made is creation and preservation by destruction. If you remember, he has said earlier, maybe not here, Adyate Atti, the eater is himself eaten. So he is giving you so many different viewpoints which stress the disharmony in the physical world, and disharmony is not to be seen negatively, it has to be seen positively. Interestingly enough, just see democracy. It's the best political system we have. And yet, what is democracy? You are allowing free difference of opinion to such an extent that you come to blows. That is the interesting part now. One day I saw a video in which all the parliaments of the world, Japan, okay, Russia, okay, Korea, and even in India, okay, and even in the United States, they come to blows actually. So this is a war. What democracy is nothing but war. And the other day I was seeing, it's very interesting because what I'm going to tell you is going to justify the differences in the war and the disarmament. Someone asked Modi that you are being accused of being autocratic, okay, and people criticize you all the time. How does it affect you? They asked him. And he said something very interesting. He said, democracy is something that allows difference of opinion. And difference of opinion is welcome. I take it in a very positive sense. I don't take criticism in a negative sense because criticism helps me to make the right decision. I know what is wrong with my decisions. So I may not respond. But I take it very seriously because that gives me the opportunity of correcting myself. Now that's exactly the justification for war. All so-called disharmony is nothing. One view and another opposite view, and then there is a compromise worked out. Compromises are not the solutions, but compromise is still one step higher than the clash. Okay? So this is how it proceeds. That's what Srendra is saying here also, and he is justifying it. The duality. Yeah, tell me.
The last sentence is within quote marks. Why?
That's an interesting thing because I tried to find out from where he is quoting, but I could never find it. Okay. If someone
because that justifies that ladies saying that India is, teaches war. Bhagavad Gita teaches war.
No,
this one sentence.
No. She is interpreting in a negative way. This interpretation is in a positive way. That you have to make a difference. She says that India is encouraging war in a negative way. Disharmony is being, here Srendra is saying even disharmony has got a positive effect, okay, at the lower level. But that disharmony has to disappear ultimately. And war is one of the ways in which it will disappear. Each time there is a war, you go one step higher. Wendy Doniger is not saying that. She is saying it is limited to, Indian culture is limited to constant disharmony and war. Okay, so that is exactly the thing. She is not at all saying something positive. She finds fault with everything Indian. You have to, that's exactly the interesting part. War can be seen as something negative, but there is also something positive all the time in it. That's exactly what Surendra says, that we have to see the reality. Okay, even
in this inverted commas, there is nowhere it shows that it is positive. Where does it show that it is positive? In this sentence.
You have to read between the lines. What is he saying right in the beginning? See the first sentence. War said he is the father of all things. Is that a negative statement? War is the king of all because it makes you progress.
But that is what Heraclitus has said. Is the father of all things. War said Heraclitus.
Well, you are welcome to your opinion, but very clearly, Srendra is saying that everything negative in the physical world is not to be seen negatively. There is something, it's a distortion of truth. Falsehood is not something fundamental. It is something, it's a distortion of truth itself. Just as we keep repeating, darkness is not something fundamental. Darkness is not something fundamental. There are many religions who say darkness is fundamental. The divine is light and the darkness below is the creation of the devil. The divine has nothing to do with it. Our Indian system is exactly the opposite. Everything is creation of the divine, including all the darkness. So you have to see it in that way. Okay? In that case, then war also has at a lower level, there is a meaning for it. Okay? You have to see it in that way.
Hello.
Yes.
The last sentence is symbolized by the Trimurti which is present in the Elephanta caves of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva.
That's right. That's not bad at all, because that the Trimurti shows that from the highest level to the lowest level, everything is divine. That's what it means, no? Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Shiva is the one that is destroying all the time. And that destruction also is a divine element. Don't forget that. He has told you earlier also, and we have also seen, he has told you very clearly here, there can be no construction here without destruction. So is that a negative statement? So you have to see the whole sentence, the whole para. Okay? There can be no construction without destruction. Unless you destroy the old, how will the new come in? Okay? If your room is dirty, you have to destroy all the dirt and take it out before you can put in something new. Okay? So that last sentence is not negative. Okay? You have to see it in a positive way. That doesn't mean to say that you encourage war. Okay, you have to find the war is going to create is going to force you to go to one step higher. That is what is meant. Okay, you have to see it in that way. In fact, I told you 3 chapters. Srimdo is, because there are so many. He is contradicting here the principle of ahimsa, which is the last principle of truth. That is not true. Okay. Destruction, we think of it as something, because we think of destruction as something negative. Destruction is not negative. It is negative in a certain sense. But what are you doing? You are destroying the old to bring in the new. In the physical world, there is constant destruction. Floods, earthquakes, forest fires, okay? So all this destruction. Even in any city also, you will see in Pondicherry also it's happening all the time. The old houses are being broken down and new houses are being built. Okay, even in yoga, you are negating and cancelling all your imperfections and bringing in new light into yourself. Everything is in the physical world constantly, the two are operating. That's the truth of dualities. Okay? So, this idea you have to put into your head. Okay, so we have discussed enough, I think. So, still, if
Shall I
you.
read?
Yes, please do that.
Ancient thought accepted this starting point so far as it could see by scrutiny of the universe. The old Upanishads saw it very clearly and faced it with an uncompromising thoroughness, which will have nothing to do with any honeyed glosses or optimistic scuttlings of the truth. Hunger that is dead, they said. It is the creator and master of the world. And they figured vital existence is the image of the horse of the sacrifice. Matter they described by a name which means ordinarily food, and they said, we call it food because it is devoured and devours creatures. The eater eating is eaten. This is the formula of the material world, as the Darwinians rediscovered when they laid it down that the struggle for life is the law of evolutionary existence. Modern science has only rephrased the old truths that had already been expressed in much more forcible, wide, and accurate formulae by the apothegm of, of Heraclitus and the figures employed by the Upanishad.
Yeah. The Upanishads, okay. Because here there is a reference to Katha Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So, again, he is explaining that this is not to be seen in a negative way. If the divine is everywhere, right from the highest level of light to the lowest level of darkness, then you have to see the positive aspect of it also. Okay, and it has got a purpose. So, war also has got a purpose. That doesn't mean to say that you have to get stuck in war, but you have to understand the need of something in the what is the nature of darkness, clash, disharmony, and from there you are pushed up. If there is no disharmony, tell me one thing. If there is no disharmony, will you be will you be encouraged to go beyond your present status? If you are not conscious of your imperfections and you are very satisfied with your comfort zone, will you make an attempt to go up? It's only when suffering is there and you are exposed to the need of getting beyond the suffering that you make a progress. Otherwise, you accept it quietly. Okay, so that's what is being explained here. So we'll see the references. And ancient thought, mostly Sri Aurobindo is limiting himself to the Indian scriptures. Ancient thought accepted the starting point so far as it could see it by scrutiny of the universe. When you see in the universe, there are certain things. He pointed out 3-4 things which show clearly that there are dualities in the physical world and there is a constant construction and destruction. Okay, the old Upanishads saw it very clearly and phrased it with an uncompromising thoroughness, which will have nothing to do with the honeyed glosses or optimistic scuttlings of the truth. Now, this is very interesting. Okay, you mustn't think that everything is very, very positive and hunky-dory in the physical world. Okay, there is Sri Aurobindo discusses this also in the Life Divine. He says something very interesting. He says because there is Robert Browning. Okay, and Robert Browning has 4 lines. I have not marked them here, but in a poem called Pippa Passes, he says something interesting. He says that everything is fine in the physical world. Okay, the lark is on the branch and the worm is in the ground and the birds are singing and the sun is rising. Everything is hunky-dory, everything is fine. So Sri Aurobindo says very clearly that this is a very shallow optimism. It does not see the negative aspects. You must see the negative aspect and also see what is its utility. So this is what he is saying here. He is using the words honeyed glosses. You are glossing over the truth. Okay, the truth is that there is disharmony in the physical world. Okay, and it's not. Tell me.
I'm reminded of that line. I don't know from where, but God is in His heaven and all's right with the world.
That's right. I'm referring to that only. I'm referring to Robert Browning.
Okay.
Yeah. And all's right with the world. That's the last line of the 4 lines.
Yeah.
That's right. If you go to the internet and type out these lines, you will get the 4 lines that I'm referring to. This is the optimistic scuttling. You are very optimistically, you are ignoring the truth. Exactly. Okay. That's exactly what Sri Aurobindo is saying. No, you have to see the truth and you have to be very, very courageous to see that. If you think that the divine is there everywhere, okay, then you must be able to justify the need of war, the need of falsehood, the need of this requires a lot of courage. In fact, most of the humanity does not have that courage, and that's why they say, no. All these imperfections in the physical world are not made by God. They are made by the devil. They don't have the courage to face that. Advaita philosophy has the courage to face it and explains it. He says, it is the divine himself who comes down and creates all this because every possibility has to be given a chance to exist. And from there, it's a game. From the most difficult situation, you are escaping. And when you go to the highest level, the game is complete. You have done the game successfully. And that's what he is doing through every human soul. Okay, so this is note the words honeyed gloss. Honey, everything is sweet and nice. Just now what Tarika said, okay, all's right with the world, exactly. That's not it. Okay, optimistic scuttling. They are throwing away the truth by a very unrealistic optimism, a very shallow optimism. Optimism should be positive. Yes, there is falsehood, there is imperfection in the physical world, but it has got a purpose. If that is not there, it will not push you to progress. Okay, that's very clear. You will remain in your comfort Oh, yes, tell me.
Scuttling means what exactly? Scuttling is what?
Scuttle is to throw away.
Throw away. Okay.
Scuttle is to deliberately sink a ship. That's what it means. Deliberate course.
Actually, it also means to cut.
Pardon?
To cut and to avoid, I think, no?
It
Yeah,
no,
to cut and to throw away.
that one meaning, but the other meaning, scuttle means deliberate sinking of one's own ship, a deliberate cause or scheme to fail. That's what it means. Okay. So scuttle, you can also say, yeah, cut and throw away. You can say that, but the basic thing is when your ship is gone, you actually plan to sink it. The second one, emotional.
Deliberate.
Yeah, deliberate cause to sink, to scheme, and scheme to fail. There are many people who have plans to make you fail. That is scuttling. Okay, so what's happening in Pakistan is that they try to, so Imran today is going to face the no trust motion in his parliament, and he tried his best to make the others fail, but he did not succeed. Okay, so I go on to the next sentence. Srimde is now giving many examples of showing that yes, there is disharmony in the world, and that is the nature of the world, but it's got a purpose. Don't think only negatively. Hunger, that is death. He is referring to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Hunger, that is death, they said, is the creator and master of the world. Now, hunger, if you interpret as the need to have something which you don't have. So, hunger at the physical level becomes desire at the vital level, and becomes a desire to have knowledge at the mental level, and becomes also the aspiration in the spiritual level. There's a gradation. Okay, so that is what you have to see. If hunger is not there at the base, then all these things also may not exist. Now you have to see that clearly. Hunger is something that forces you to have something which you don't have and you need. You eat food. So that is hunger. That is necessary at the physical level. That hunger becomes hunger to own something at the vital level. That is desire. It becomes desire. So even desire has got a function in the physical world. Although it is negative, you have to go over it. This going over again and again stress that there is a gradation for everything. And when you in this gradation, you are at a particular stage. When you look down, it is something that you have to get over. And when you look up, it is something that you have to climb to. Remember, ego was the barrier, ego was the obstacle, and ego is the helper. Similarly, mind also. Mind is so important for man. Okay? But you have to go beyond the mind. In fact, Sri Aurobindo goes to the extent of saying even the overmind, which is a huge plane of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, you have to go even beyond that. Okay? There's no end. So remember this gradation. So,
But I didn't understand hunger that is death. So death, what does he mean by hunger that is death?
Okay, very interesting, but it's very easy to understand this. When you are eating, what are you eating?
Mm.
All the dead skeletons of anything, any living being.
So you are causing death for the other thing that you are eating.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you are eating meat, you are eating something that is, you are causing death to something else. So that is the food chain that science has realized. Okay, there is a food chain. The lower is always being eaten by the higher. This is a law in the physical world. There has to be a destruction so that there can be a construction and even existence. Okay, so very clear. Hunger, that is death. If there is
But
hunger,
here,
there is bound to be death. Pardon?
But here, hunger can also be mean as a desire. No, desire is the death.
Okay, but desire is also something that makes you go towards. Desire causes spiritual death. Okay, that is true. You have to understand that correctly, and you have to. There's a gradation, as I said. Apply that. Okay. So, hunger that is death, they said, the Upanishads, is the creator and master of this world. And they figured that's why death is absolutely the law in the physical world. In fact, Yama is a very interesting. Yama is the lord of death. And what does the word Yama mean? Yama is control, law.
Control.
Yeah. Yam is to control. Okay. So it is controlling all the disharmony in the physical world. It is seeing that everything is maintained. Okay.
And also this hunger, like unless you are hungry, you will not do anything. No, hunger
You will
makes
not
you.
even you will not even live. Tarika, you won't even live.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So hunger is the base. Like if it is not there, you will not do. So that way also.
Precisely. That's exactly what I told you just now. See, if at the vital level, if desire is not there, you will not try to go above it. Because when desire is there, you satisfy your desire, okay. But there are times when you won't satisfy your desire, it's going to cause you suffering. And when you are suffering, you want to get over suffering. So desire is actually helping you to go beyond to a level where there won't be any desire. Okay.
Hmm.
That's exactly with the truth with ego also and with the mind. Okay. You want to know something and you realize that you are ignorant, you want to go beyond. That's what science is doing now. And that's why science has stumbled now onto the spiritual planes of consciousness. Any number of scientists are having spiritual experiences. The internet is full of all these cases. Okay. That thing has changed completely after 1956. Okay, we go on with our. So, hunger that is death. Okay. This is very interesting. You just try to connect all the things that is giving and understand what he's saying in the right way. Don't get negative impressions. Okay. You have to see everything negative also as something positive. Hunger that is death, they said, is the creator, the master of the world. And figured vital existence in the image of the horse of the sacrifice. This is the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Okay. Matter they describe by a name which means ordinarily food. The word used is annam. Okay. Annam. In Gujarati you have the word annam.
Yeah.
Anna. Now, I think it's there in all Indian languages. No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So all food is matter. But all matter is not food. Okay. But in a certain sense it is because it gets destroyed. Described by name, which means ordinarily food. They said, we call it food because it is devoured and devours creatures. Itself it devours creatures, but it is also itself devoured. Okay? The eater eating is eaten. This is in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay? Ajyate atti. The one who eats also is eaten. Atti, he eats. Adyate is eaten. Passive tense. Okay? So the eater eating is eaten. This is the formula of the material world. As the Darwinians discovered, rediscovered. He is using the word rediscovered because it was discovered long ago by the Upanishads. When they laid it down, that the struggle for life is a law of evolutionary existence. So, if you want to discuss the Darwinian theory, the only the alpha male is allowed to mate in the herd because then there's an improvement of the general standard of the herd. Okay, the weak ones are beaten in war. Okay, you will see always all these animals fighting among themselves for the right to food and sex. So this is what Darwin has discovered. The struggle for life and survival of the fittest. So even that is linked to this idea of war. Okay. So everything is connected. We have to see the subtle connections everywhere. Okay. So, modern science.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Can you tell me what is the horse of the sacrifice?
Oh, okay. That's the image of in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The horse is the symbol of the physical world, and horse is the power. Okay, and I read it a long time ago, but that's an image. The horse is the beyond. Uh, Yasmin, beyond that, I will not be able to say anything, but I remember it's in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and it begins with that, the horse of the sacrifice. He's saying horse of sacrifice because in India, if you remember, Ashwamedha, okay? The Ashwamedha was a sacrifice, and it was in India what they used to do to avoid war. They used to take a horse all over the kingdom, all over even outside the kingdom, and if anybody had the daring to challenge, then there would be
The
war.
horse.
Otherwise, if they did not, then that territory became part of your own kingdom. So that was the Ashwamedha they used to
That
do.
was in Ramayana, no? In
Horse,
Ramayana, Love and
ah,
Kush detained the horse.
that's right. So that's exactly what I'm referring to. So that's why in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad it is there. The horse sacrifice. So again there you can see also that challenge and war comes into the picture. That is the image given in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Okay. So the horse of the sacrifice. Matter that we've read. Modern science has only rephrased the old truths that had already been expressed in much more forcible, wide, and accurate formulas by the apothegms of Heraclitus and the figures employed by the Upanishads. And the Upanishads is the Katha Upanishad, the Taittiriya, and the Brihadaranyaka. They have given these things, the three Upanishads. So here,
Figures here means images, and the
pardon?
figures employed means figures here means
Yeah, yeah.
images.
Images, yes, that's right. Images. The metaphor, if you want. That's right. Okay? So now we come to Nietzsche. Nietzsche also was insisting on war and what he means. It's a 3/4 of a page. We can read that.
I'll read.
Shall I read?
Yes, do that.
Yeah, Pallu, go ahead.
Nietzsche's insistence upon war as an aspect of life and the ideal man as a warrior, the camel man he may be to begin with, and the child man thereafter, but the lion man he must become in the middle if he is to attain his perfection. These now much decried theories of Nietzsche have, however much may differ from many of the moral and practical conclusions he drew from them, their undeniable justification and recall us to a truth we like to hide out of sight. It is good that we should be reminded of it. First, because to see it has for every strong soul a tonic effect which saves us from the flabbiness and the relaxation encouraged by a too mellifluous philosophic, religious, or ethical sentimentalism. That which loves to look upon nature as love and life and beauty and good, but turns away from a grim mask of death, adoring God as Shiva but refusing to adore him as Rudra. Secondly, because unless we have the honesty and the courage to look existence straight in the face, we shall never arrive at any effective solution of its discords and oppositions. We must see first what life and the world are. Afterwards, we can all the better set about finding the right way to transform them into what they should be. If this repellent aspect of existence holds in itself some secret of the final harmony, we shall, by ignoring or belittling it, miss that secret, and all our efforts at a solution will fail by fault of our self indulgent ignoring of the true elements of the problem. If, on the other hand, it is an enemy to be beaten down, trampled on, excised, eliminated, still we gain nothing by underrating its power and hold upon life or refusing to see how firmly it is rooted in the effective past and the actually operative principles of existence.
Same idea, he is expanding and bringing in Nietzsche. Okay. In fact, Nietzsche was a Cyrano calls him a blind seer because he had the idea of a superior man, okay? He called him a Superman also. The word used also is in German, Superman. But Nietzsche's Superman is not Sremdo's Superman. Nietzsche's Superman is a exaggeration of the good qualities of man, okay? His power aspect is stressed. Okay, it's interesting. Perhaps he had the experience of power more than that of love and gentleness. Maybe. Because Srebno calls him, as I said, he is a seer. He is seeing the truth, but he is blind. He does not see the whole truth. Nietzsche's insistence upon war, this is a very interesting paragraph. We'll quickly go through, we can finish it today. Nietzsche's insistence upon war as an aspect of life and the ideal man as a warrior. Note that. Yeah? The best man is a warrior. He is the one who wars, conquers, and lords it over the others. He is superior to others and he must conquer them. That is the reason why, although some people deny it, Nietzsche was the origin of Nazism. The whole principle of Nazism that we are a superior race to everybody else. Okay? That was their insistence. And that's why they eliminated all the Jews. Okay? So, ideal man is a warrior. The camel man, he may be, to begin with, very inferior. He is doing only very, very simple works. And the child man hereafter. But the lion man, he must become in the middle if he is to attain his perfection. He has to grow in power. That was Nietzsche's idea. These now much decried theories of Nietzsche have, however, much we may differ from many of the moral and practical conclusions he drew from them. Their undeniable justification and recall us to a truth that we like to hide out of sight. Okay, we don't want to see the ugliness of the world. Okay, we avoid it. We brush it under the carpet. That's what he's saying. Okay, we come back to the idea of the shallow optimism, optimistic scuttlings and honeyed gloss. Everything is fine in the world. No, it's not that. You have to be very, very open your eyes wide, see the nature of the divine, of the seeming anti-divine, and try and find out what is its truth. So that's what he's saying. It is good that we should be reminded of it. Reminded of what? Of the ugliness of life and the war. By the way, he's saying much decried theories of Nietzsche, because there are many people who say that the Nazi philosophy came from Nietzsche. We are superior and we should be superior. So that was the whole idea. But there are some who deny that. I think those who love Nietzsche say that no, this is the wrong conclusion. But definitely the aspect of power is stressed by Nietzsche. And Srebno therefore calls him a blind seer. It's interesting words he uses. He is seeing the truth but not the whole truth. Many differ in moral and practical conclusions that is true from. And practical conclusion, therefore the German race, the Aryan race, is superior to the others and they have the right to dominate the others and rule them. That was the whole philosophy. Okay. Practical conclusion and their undeniable justification and recall to us a truth we like to hide out of sight. We don't want to see. There are many people who don't want to see ugly things. Suppose you want to avoid when the vital is weak. Okay, you don't want to see. It's not something very uncommon. If two people are fighting very intensely and they are hurting each other, there are many who will feel so sensitive that they'll want to turn their eyes away. They don't want to see that. It goes to such an extent, I tell you, that when there are some people who faint when they see blood. Have you heard of that? Okay. If you see the red blood coming out, there is a person who faints. I have come across this many times. I have been told. I know of many cases. I won't take the names, but I know. So that's a weakness of the vital. When the vital is very weak, it can't stand very intense and very disturbing sights it can't see. It wants to turn away.
Rangata, being sensitive becomes, you become weak. If you are sensitive, that doesn't mean you are weak. Or is it?
No. Sensitivity is the capacity to receive the impressions, but that depends on the vital. If the vital is weak, then your sensitivity is a problem. But if the vital is strong, the sensitivity is something positive. Nah? You have to see it that way. Sensitivity is the openness to things coming from outside. Okay? And your vital, what is it? Is it strong or weak? You have to see it that way. It's not that this vital itself is always sensitive. It can be strong or weak, both it can be. But sensitivity is good without being disturbed. A strong vital will not be disturbed by, I tell you, I have seen, okay, one day I was coming from knowledge and there was a man who was suffering a epileptic fit, okay, and I can tell you it's not a good sight. I don't know if any of you have seen, but he was writhing in pain and his whole body was shaking very, very intensely on the footpath. And there were people who could not stand that and they just went away. There are one or two who came and helped him. They say that when someone is having an epileptic fit, what you can do is to hand him a metal object. So one of them actually gave him a large home key, and it, I think, is electrical in nature, the epilepsy, and it is supposed to stop that. It's like grounding the third wire, something like that. So there are many people who are not able to stand these violent scenes. Okay. That's the reason why even in cinemas they tell you that there are scenes here which can disturb you. So if you don't want, don't see. You are warned from before. It's a law. You have to warn people that there are disturbing scenes here. Okay. So all this is related. So
May I say something about epilepsy?
go ahead.
You see, what happens is there are multiple electrical connections in the brain, and
Okay.
sometimes at one spot there is, you can say, like a electrical volcano, and
Okay.
it is that electrical volcano which sets off these fits. But there
That's
are
right.
two types of fits. One is where you get a fit, and the other is where a person just faints and is unconscious without the body trembling. Now,
Okay.
when a body trembles, you are supposed to put something in the mouth. You know why? Because otherwise, the tongue will roll back and block your breathing.
Ah.
That is why you have to open the mouth and put something so that the tongue doesn't roll back
Ah.
and close your breathing.
Okay. Okay. Archanati also is there in this, and she is also listening. She is a doctor also. So yeah, it's interesting. But and Srivendo says something very interesting about epilepsy. He says that it's a defect in the brain, and it is usually epilepsy happens when there is a, from the spiritual point of view, he's saying that it's a seizure. There are some hostile forces that come in and use this lacuna in the brain to create this seizure. This is what happens. So anyway, that's
In our school days,
pardon.
in our school days, we had a boy who was epileptic, and we used to give him something in the hand, the
Ah,
key or something.
that's
I
right.
don't remember the name, but we had an epileptic
Yeah,
in
but
our time, school time. Yeah, I don't recollect his name right now, but he was there. You might be knowing. I don't know.
there is can be hereditary also, and we have a boy in the ashram even now who is living. Okay, he was epileptic, but nowadays they have found a, I think it's called Cardinal, the medicine, and that keeps the epilepsy under control. So some solution has been found, but you need to take this drug throughout your life. Okay, you let Archanaji has to confirm what I'm saying, because I knew a boy quite closely connected with me who had epilepsy. He still has, but he doesn't have seizures.
Gardinal was a very old drug, and it made me feel very, very sleepy. So
Okay.
all
Drowsy.
these people, especially students, would feel so drowsy and sleepy. But
Okay.
nowadays we have many other new drugs also.
Yes,
But
Okay.
actually,
exactly.
what Sri Aurobindo has said is always it is a vital attack. And
That's
if you
right.
see, these are people who are weak and who allow that vital attack to take place in them.
That's right. That's a psychological truth. But there is also a physical truth, which is the biological and what is called uh, yeah, the physiological truth. That there's a truth physiological.
Sometimes,
Ah,
if there is a small tumor in the brain,
yes.
then that
Yeah.
tumor also acts as an irritant and
Ah,
it throws these electrical impulses. So you
right.
have to first rule out that there is no tumor in the brain. And when you do a electroencephalogram,
Ah,
sometimes that shows disruption in the electrical impulses.
ah, ah. Okay. So we are now almost at 8:40. So we'll have to stop here today, and we will complete it next time. But Srimda is again saying towards the end of the para, there should not be uh, shallow optimism. He is using interesting words now. He's saying mellifluous philosophic, religious or ethical sentimentalism. Okay. So he's saying that you should not be so weak that you don't look violence in the face and face it. You have to know. And otherwise, he's saying that if you have to conquer an enemy, you have to know the nature of the enemy. Otherwise, how are you going to conquer him? Even in battle, even the war strategy, you need to know who your enemy is. That's why one army has always got spies. They go and find out the nature of the enemy, find out his weakness, and then you attack it. So, when you have an enemy, you must know its nature. In other words, you must understand the need of darkness and imperfection. That's what he's saying. But we'll finish it next time. Okay. So if we are in the middle of the para, Nietzsche's insistence. Okay. Very interesting discussion.
Merci,
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup.
merci Rangada.
Okay.
Bonjour.
Merci beaucoup.
Au revoir, everybody. Au revoir.
Au revoir.